You'll know when you have a wild woman. She'll practice her craft without boundaries. She is truly autonomous. Her loyalty is only to the family she serves, a midwife who will not allow herself to be held back by a system she didn't create.
This podcast is for the birth keepers who want to grow and change. We are open to learning through self-reflection and supportive community. We are creating this space to explore without judgment. We are remembering we were
Born wild.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Born Wild podcast. We are your hosts, Emma,
Sophia,
and Leah.
We hope everybody's having a beautiful day. It's really hot here in Northern California. I'm really wishing that I could spend the day on the river, but I am always on call, and the river spot that I love is very much out of reception. So it's funny how when you become a midwife, all these things, mundane things become, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. How are you guys?
Inaccessible.
Yeah, there's the word, inaccessible, like going to the river. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing?
Yeah. I'm doing good. I'm in Oklahoma. We're visiting Spencer's dad's side of the family. We leave tomorrow to come back home. We've been here almost a week now. It's been really, really fun. The weather's been surprisingly really nice. I've never come. This is my first time, and he always tells me it's 100 degrees, 100% humidity. It's pretty miserable heat-wise, but really only the last few days have been hot and humid, which has been nice. And yesterday we went to a water park the whole day, as you can see from my sunburns, or at least you two can see. Our listeners can just imagine how toasted I am. But yesterday was kind of a dream come true for me. When I was pregnant the first time, Spencer and I used to chat about what we'd want to do with our children as they got older, like the things that we were looking forward to. And a big one for me was water parks, because I just loved water parks as a kid. It's so fun. And yesterday we took the kids ages 6 and 4 to a water park here. And we were there from noon to 5, and we just had the best time. I can't stop smiling about it. And my kids were so brave. I expected it from Benjamin, but Gracie, the first one we were in line for, she was like, I don't know, I don't want to do it. And I was so nervous that she wouldn't try it, just give it a shot. And I was even more nervous that she would try it and she would hate it.
Yeah.
But we got on, we each had our own little tube, and I held on to hers, and we went down these little waterfalls together, and she had so much fun. And then the second one we went on was a closed tube one. And I went down holding on to Ben's tube, and her and Spencer went together. And when Ben and I went first, at the end, I was like, oh my God, she's going to lose her shit. Like, it was in the dark, and it was so fast, and we were like going up the wall. It was so fun, but I was like, oh, she's going to come out crying. Oh no. And she came out laughing so hard, and that was just the end of it. We went on these really tall water slides, and it was so fun, and I was so proud of them. Even at the top, Spencer was like, I don't know about this, like I just keep thinking of the kids falling off. I was like, don't think about it, but it was really, really, really fun. And they were like, again, more, and floating down the lazy river together. And yeah, it was just so great. So that was the highlight of my week. Yeah, Gracie, we got stuck in that.
Doesn't Gracie like to be scared a little bit? Like she likes to watch.
She does. She's very hesitant. Like it takes some like convincing, but she always really has fun. I was just really worried that right off the bat she would just hate it, and we'd be like, okay, great. Now what? Yeah, so it was a blast, and getting here was a challenge. We got stuck in the American airline cancellations and delay of flights. And so our flight got canceled when we got to Dallas to get to Oklahoma. And luckily Spencer was just on top of it. If we had done my idea, which was get in the line with the hundreds of people who also had their flight canceled, we would probably still be there. But he just like got on the phone, got in line, got us a rental car. We drove 3 hours to get here. I was really grateful for his like get going attitude and just like take care of business, especially because he was hungry and normally he doesn't function well in that environment.
The pictures were so cute from your whole trip that I've seen so far on social media. The ones of the kids in the rental car.
Yeah.
Just the family trip.
It was really fun. So today is our kind of calm rest day before we head home tomorrow. So we don't have any crazy plans today. Just recover. My kids are, if you can hear them barking at the door, I locked.
Oh.
How was your week, Leah?
My week was great. It was kind of tiring, but that's all right. It was all good stuff. The like perpetual move updates. But I love my new house so much. I'm sitting in the garden right now. If you hear construction, that's why. My new place is in town. It's definitely more central than my last one, so it's interesting. I feel like I'm a little more part of like the world now. I'm not so isolated, but it includes construction. But yeah, just putting things in their place and settling in. My oldest baby turned 13 on the 6th, which is crazy.
Oh, that's a big.
My June bug. Yeah, I have a teenager. It's wonderful and brightening and all of the things. But yeah, I talked to them on that day, and they were in Italy. Actually, they're in Europe right now with their dad, who's from Germany, and they were in Italy for a day. So yeah, so it's just, talk to my 13-year-old. She's walking the streets of Italy on her birthday. So it's hard to be in a bad mood when you're picturing that. But yeah, no, things are good. I'm just kind of settling into the day. I saw Mama that's due yesterday, and she's beautiful and transitioning into that like shimmery oxytocin last few week glow, and just really like sitting in that unknown of waiting for labor. And so that's always awesome. And yeah, that's it. That's me. How about you, Emma? You've had a crazy week.
Oh man, yeah, I'm like really, my adrenals are feeling it this week. Yeah, the podcast is coming out a day late because I was in charge of putting it out this week, and I went to 2 really long, pretty challenging births. It was funny. I was driving to the first birth with one of my preceptors, and we were joking around, and I said, all the births we've been to have been really easy and short. And she's like,
No.
don't say that. And I just kind of laughed it off. And holy night, man, it was, oh gosh. Yeah. So I was like, words are spells. Yeah. The next 2 births were like the births where you have to use every skill that you have, and you throw like everything. You're like having to do all the maneuvers. I was sitting there thinking like, how would this be a hands-off birth? Like, is there a way that this could have been like, I don't know. I don't think that there could have been. I really don't. And I learned a lot. Thank goodness. I'm learning at a very quick pace these days, which is good. And now I'm kind of just easing into turning 31 next week. That went by really fast. I literally just turned 30, and now I'm like, okay, this is how the 30s work. You blink and then it just goes by. And I'm gonna go to Yellowstone with my family and take a break and look at some geysers and animals and read a book and do nothing. And that feels really good. So, yeah.
That sounds so amazing. Is it the first time that you've gone there, or is it something you guys have done in the past?
No, I've never been. I also have really bad arthritis. And so the idea of driving through 3 states is really exciting for my wife because she loves that stuff. But for me, I'm like sitting in the car. Oh my gosh, for 3 states, that does not sound like fun, but it'll be fun.
How long is the drive?
I think it's like 19 hours.
Sure.
So
stretching. Call your yoga certified practice mate, and I'll give you some stretches on the road.
Yes,
there you go.
For your arthritis.
Yes, please. Yeah, it really affects my back. But we decided that we're bringing one of our the cousins in our family to join the trip, and that'll be good because then we won't have to be the complete source of entertainment for my daughter. Even though she's like 12, she's still like, okay, I'm over it. We're done now? So that gets old. So it'll be 2 kids and they can just watch movies and zone out.
Great.
Yeah. Cool.
So fun. Well, I'm bummed that I missed this interview with Lisa, but in some ways I'm really, really excited because I get to hear it. Like it's brand new. Like I'm just listening to our podcast and I'm just a regular old listener. So when you get your shit together, Emma. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding on such a deep level, it's not even funny. Because I don't know how to put out the podcast.
Oh yeah.
And have been by far the least productive person, even though I moved out of the 3 of us. So
stop dinging. I hope you guys can hear that.
Oh, this is a side note that we can cut out or keep in. Either way, but I think we all need to get pagers for the practice. I used to have a pager and it was from Get Reception, and it's really nice to just have a pager, and then we can name them and put rhinestones on them.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
So, and it's very affordable, and it's funny because it's like older technology is actually more reliable sometimes. So like it would work at the beach, or like if I was at dinner or something, I could just like put my phone away and turn it off and then just have my pager. And that way I knew, and I know like Sophia, you're good at this stuff where you can like program your phone so that it only rings if this person or that person or whatever. But it was just nice to like have my phone be like really like off, like away from my body, and just know that it would, if I was really needed, that's what would happen. So anyway,
that's cool. Yeah, I've noticed. I recently just got an Apple Watch, and it's been pretty cool because I can put my phone away, and then if I get a message, it shows up on my wrist. So that's really cool. The downside of it is it asked me when I was programming it, it was like, what are your fitness goals? And I'm like, oh, this is great. It's going to calculate my steps. Like, this is good. And so I put in like general, like, fitness goals. And so I'll be sitting in the car or sitting in a prenatal, and it'll be like, time to stand. I'm like, I can't stand. Time to move around. You haven't moved around. Time to stand. Get up. I'm like, oh my God. Stop yelling. And then it'll be like, you did not do your fitness goals today. I'm like, I know. Thanks.
I had an ex-boyfriend who gave me an Apple Watch that someone gave him. He was like re-gifting, and it was obvious because it was like a man-sized watch, and I just got it irritated me because I felt like I was like more connected to the world, and you know what I mean, like I didn't want to see messages even easier. But yeah, fitness goals would have irritated me.
Time to stand.
So yeah.
But I will say, when I did
something to think about.
Yeah. When I did this last birth yesterday, I got this dun da 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 at the end of the day. It's like, you did your fitness goals. So in all that time, all the steps of running around that birth, I'm like, oh, okay, so that's what it takes to do
Oh, wow.
Well, I can't do that every day. I'm exhausted. Oh my God.
Counterpoint, change your fitness goals to be almost nothing. And then every day, at the end of the day, you can get a message that's like, da da da. You are amazing.
Really
I'm actually totally gonna do that if I ever get an Apple Watch. Congratulate myself for like standing. And then if it doesn't, it's like a really special sign that
You did not leave bed today.
you really need to get a life.
It's
not an issue with midwives who are parents.
I feel like I haven't seen you ladies in so long. So good to see faces.
We need to get together and do a podcast in person.
Yeah. You guys have to come to my new house next week. It's required.
I would love to do that.
I will give you food. We will go get fun stuff in town. It's a really fun little town where I live. There's like lots of really sweet little cafes and stores, and it's really great. So I'm excited for if you guys start doing in-person office days. It would be very fun. And it's also at some point down the road a good place to do like they have all kinds of festivals, and they have a farmer's market and stuff. I was thinking of doing some like info booth stuff too, but that's a whole other thing we can talk about.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
But yeah, side note.
Yeah, that's a great
anyway.
Well, I'm back to my vacation.
Yeah, well, enjoy the last day. And Emma, when are you leaving for Yellowstone?
The 17th.
The 17th. Okay, so for a little while. Emma, maybe you and I can hang out.
Yeah.
Too, without our children.
Even though our children are so deeply in love with, after hanging out.
I know. I feel like it's like sacrilegious to hang out without them. It's so funny. Anyway, she like does her makeup like your child now.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway. Okay, well, I love you guys. I'll talk to you. I am excited about podcast.
Yes. Yeah, I'm excited too. So you guys, I hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll see you next week. Stay wild. Today we have a really special guest on the pod. She's one of my dear friends. She's been a midwife for many, many years. She's an advocate for survivors and processes birth trauma with folks. This is Lisa Rawson. I'm really excited to have her on the podcast today. Welcome, Lisa.
Hi.
Lisa.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Tell us about yourself. Tell us about how your journey started. We like to let our guests introduce themselves on the podcast, so just give us a little bit of backstory of who you are.
Okay, I'll try to be brief.
There's so many layers there.
I'll start when I was 16, I got pregnant with my oldest daughter, Athena. She's now 28 almost. This July 3rd, she'll be 28. And that was a really interesting process. I ended up being on my own. And so I had her, I had turned 17 about a month before I had her. Mm-hmm. And then things did not go the way that they had planned, and we can do a different topic on that. But then I found myself a single mom living alone with no family support. And I used every service known to the Washington state system and Catholic system. And I'm not Catholic, but they do help single mothers quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And then decided that I think I was about 19. Yeah, I was 19 and I decided, you know what, I should probably go to college. So I had kind of, had some different jobs and had saved a little money and was doing okay. And it was just her and I, and decided, yeah, I should go to college. I should figure out what I'm going to do as a career. And so I went to the Seattle Central Community College and just did basic studies. To get federal financial aid, I needed 12 credits to get full aid, which I needed. So I took a 2-credit course in women's studies. And what we did is we had women who came in and spoke on Fridays, and then we would write a little 2-page paper on that subject. I learned about a lot of different things. And one of the things that I learned about was the Seattle Midwifery School, which was, it was in the district I was in the Broadway district of Seattle, and it was down south a little bit, in White Central Beacon Hill district. And it was just a small school at the time. It was above El Centro de la Raza. And I think that space is still being used for Spanish families for resources. Seattle Midwifery School quickly grew out of that space, eventually became part of Posterior, and is now just the Posterior program for midwifery. Well, a midwife came from there, and she talked about how midwives support the growth of families, and that family can look many, many different ways. And she said, in her family, that she was a single mom, and so that a single mom could be a family, and it could also be a family of many different, like polyamorous families. It's a really progressive area of Seattle, and Seattle's already progressive, so it's pretty progressive. And what struck me was that she was talking about the empowerment process, and that the empowerment process is that when you can't do things for other people, you can stand next to them and you can help them in ways of support. But through that process, empowering families, then they become empowered to raise their children in the way that they see fit. And it's not like this just one size fits all kind of program. And I thought, that's absolutely fascinating. And I was kind of doing that. And so I went to the Seattle Midwifery School and I started volunteering. I would bring my daughter with me. I would watch the babies and the kids of the midwives who were teaching classes, and I would listen to them and have lunch with them. And then I did Penny Simpkins' doula course that she was holding there. And then I became a certified doula, and then I did a volunteer doula-ship. It's like a volunteer program at a downtown hospital. So I got to see lots of different births. A lot of people didn't speak English. It's just like, because it was a community-based hospital, you just like the scope of patients, clients was vast. And I didn't know them until I came into their birth space. Wow. They would ask for a doula, and then you would come into their birth space. And then I was doing my prerequisites to go to a midwifery school, and I got accepted and was going to go. And then I met my husband very unexpectedly, I just thought, we'll just take a pause and be a small family. And he had gotten done with his college, or his first degree. And then I found that I was having my own babies, and I hired midwives. And so because I didn't want to be on call, and I didn't want to like buckle down and do schoolwork at the same time, I just wanted to be a mother. We homeschooled. We lived rurally. We lived on an island. I was just really engaging in that, helped with some nonprofits for homeschooling, those kinds of things. So I became a lactation consultant, a certified lactation consultant, was doing that, worked for WIC for a little while, did postpartum doula training, was postpartum doula. I would go to births here and there as I could. sometimes bringing my children with me when my oldest daughter got old enough to watch them. So my daughter's been to births with me in that capacity. And then was practicing kind of just non-licensed and doing traditional stuff, and was just kind of moving through my path. And I've had many miscarriages. So I have 5 birth children. And I've had 11, or not 11, but I've had 12 pregnancies. And so yeah, a lot of miscarriages. And I helped my husband with his business at that time. So I really learned how to like manage a business, paperwork. I'm like kind of detail oriented.
Which is so important for midwifery.
Yeah. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Like,
I left school being like, now what?
Yeah, I just had no idea. So yeah, then we lived on an island in the Puget Sound for about 10 years, a little older, or a little more, maybe 11 years, something like that. In 2008, we moved to Northern California. We did a family road trip across the country, and this place kind of picked us. And then decided, I realized that I was living in California, and I should probably get licensed.
Because you were, are we allowed to discuss that you were doing? I think you said that you were midwifery, unlicensed on the island.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys can, but what I said earlier is, yes. So I kind of own my shit, and realize that someday, can I say shit?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
realize that, I might get in trouble, and I'm a big girl, and I just like, that's the choice that I make, is like, that's how I approach it. So I became licensed. I quickly realized that the California Challenge program was going to become obsolete, which it's come back now, which is great, but who knew, right? Who knew if it would come back or not? So I did my California Challenge in 16 months. And while I had 5 children, my youngest was 2.5, and there's 17 years between my oldest and my youngest. And then at the time, we also had 2 of our adopted children in the house. So I had 7 children in the house. Kudos to my husband.
Yes.
Chose the right one to be a midwife's husband.
Yes.
We're still together 25 years later.
And that's not super common.
No. And got through that process and started my, I guess you call it business here in Mendocino County. And I was pretty busy right off the bat. I mean, I had lived here for a little while. I had kids in the school system, and I also had kids who I was homeschooling, and I had been helping, assisting midwives who were working this area. At that time that I got licensed, there were only 2 other practicing midwives who had also just recently moved here. And people would come here, but we're kind of a rural county. So I don't know, it seemed the timing, like everything that I had done before, going to births, having my own babies, because I had been to a little over 100 doula births. And then I had done somewhere around 50 doula births that were out of the hospital. And then I attended several hundred births besides that. So, and then, my licensing process.
And having your own children and your own birth experiences that have been very interesting.
Yes.
That plays a big part in it too.
Yes, I definitely, yes. So, by the time I got licensed, it just fell into place. Like I had already done breastfeeding stuff, lactation stuff, nutrition stuff. I had already been with families postpartum. I had already been with families as a doula, as an assistant, as a midwife. I had worked with several different midwives, including unlicensed, licensed, and CNM home birth midwives, which is kind of a rarity. yeah, so I just kind of fell right into place. Things just kind of moved forward, and I got my license in California and my CPM in 2014. And I believe it was the last California Challenge license before they reopened it. The deadline was January 1st, or rather December 31st, 2014, and I received mine December 17th.
Wow.
I'd be curious to know if there was somebody else who received it later, but they sent me a little note saying this is the last one, which I thought was really interesting.
That is, yeah.
But sometimes people get their stuff in together or something happens, and because they were going on vacation, so like they give you this deadline, the medical board, of December 31st, and then they're like, oh, by the way, we're going to go on vacation for the holidays, on the 20th. So yeah. It was really interesting. So yeah, I did that, opened my practice, having 2 babies on the island. And then only one of my children has been born here. He was born in Hopland. My first daughter was born in the hospital. My best friend's mother was the lead labor and delivery nurse at that time.
Wow.
And so she was there at my birth, which was special. And I remember just walking around in circles in the hospital, and then had her. It was really, I didn't grow up in an environment where birth was scary. My mom's a Swedish immigrant, so I think that played a part in it. That it wasn't something that was told to me that our bodies can't do. It was like, this is just what you do, and it's not, it's work, and when you're ready, you'll do it. That's kind of the way it was like, no,
So the first was pretty smooth and straightforward. Emma kind of mentioned about how unique your births were. Were there any others that you wanted to touch on? Or?
Yeah, my second was pretty quick and fast and furious. It was 4 hours, pretty much start to finish. I think I knew earlier. I did, but I just kind of put it off. I had some other complications in that pregnancy, but my midwife was really lovely, Kim Riano. I'll never forget her.
What kind of complications?
During my pregnancy, I had hyperemesis, really bad.
Oh my God.
Like really awful. And I had my whole pregnancy. And I was a skinny girl back then. Now I'm nice and full. And it had nothing to do with my weight or anything, but losing weight was not great. So that was very challenging. Food was an issue for me. I could not keep food down. I couldn't keep hydrated. I remember being, my first daughter, she was born past 42 weeks, which 28 years ago was not a big deal. It was like, okay, let's, maybe monitor baby a little bit. And as long as baby's moving, and I just don't remember it being a big deal.
Right.
And then she was born covered in vernix. So obviously, I was 16. Like, really, do I know my LMP? Probably. I don't know. I didn't even know I was pregnant for 2.5 months. So, let's get real here. So, we get distracted, whatever. So, my second one was born on his due date. So was my third and my fourth. And so he came pretty quick, Druid, my oldest son. And then Leif came next, and his birth was long, and it was long. And Druid ended up, even though I had hyperemesis, he was 7.5 pounds. He's a totally healthy baby.
The babies take it all, and you're the one that suffers.
Totally, my body just took the hit and was like, I ate a tub of cottage cheese with that kid every day. I was like, cottage cheese saved my life. It was like, I'm like, he does. He loves, Although he really doesn't like eating animal products. So, but cottage cheese is his kryptonite. So, and then Leif's birth was, he was my first baby I had on the island, and it was a 2-day adventure. And Kim, she came to that birth. We had moved, my husband had graduated from Evergreen State College. I was due in like 2 months, I think. And we found this place on the island, and we wanted to live on the island. And I remember asking her, like, crying, like, will you come to my birth? I was attached to her. She was so lovely. And I had gone with her to some other births. And like, so I just had this bond with her. And she told me, I will go to you wherever you need me to go to birth your baby, if that's what makes you happy. Mm-hmm. And it just really stuck with me. Mm-hmm. And now as a rural midwife,
yeah, it's like your motto.
It's like, okay, yeah. All right, mm-hmm. So it kind of set me up. And then Leif was born. His birth was very long, but he's classic OP presentation. I got stuck at 6. My midwife had me have a glass of wine. I slept snoring for 6 strong hours. Wow. Woke up, had breakfast, and as soon as I was done with breakfast, had a glass of water, and as soon as I got up to go out to our blueberry patch in the pond, my contractions hit me like crazy. And he was born face up with his hand across his body in the caul. Wow. And Athena was like right there watching the whole thing. It was like I would look down and I would see my midwife's face and Athena's face. Aww. It was very sweet. My husband was a little traumatized, I will say. It was a very long pushing phase. And he was kind of stuck behind me. So I don't think he really could see or knew what was going on, the progress or anything.
And it's kind of shocking, I think, too, when you have quick births and then something is taking a while. You're
yes.
Like, what's wrong?
Yeah. And I asked her that. I would look at her and I would say, what the fuck is wrong? Mm-hmm. Is this okay? Like and she was just steady. She was like, it's okay. He's just coming down in his own way, but you're making progress. Mm-hmm. Keep pushing. You're doing well. And she never was like, oh, I can see head or I can see it. That was like her words. And Emma's gone to birth with me and she knows that that's kind of like my style.
I totally forgot to say in your intro that you're my preceptor too.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
I didn't even get that.
Well, we had like a conversation about that the other day where I told Emma, I said, it's like, I don't want to call you my student if that's like some sort of ownership. You're a student of midwifery. Like, that's like, you're a student of midwifery. You're not like, but anyways, like autonomy is a really big thing for me. And so then with Flora May, I had met the midwife who lived on the island, and she was my midwife for Flora May. And Flora May, Adam actually caught her, and that birth was relatively quick as well. Although I will say that I had labor starting at like 34, 35 weeks. And by the time I was like 37 weeks, I was like walking around at 3 centimeters. Then I was 4 centimeters. And I asked her to check me, which is really rare for me. That's not something that I normally do. And so, for all you listening out there, dilation is not a sign of imminent labor or progress.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that's a really good lesson in that birth story.
For sure. When I was a student, my preceptor had checked someone and she was 6 centimeters. It was her 3rd baby, and she didn't have her baby for 2 weeks, and it was really fast when it happened.
Yeah, when it happened. Yeah, I mean, when Flora May decided it was her day, she came quite quickly. I think 3.5, 4 hours, something like that. And Adam caught her, and she was super wrapped in her cord, and I wasn't watching because I was kind of bent over the bed, and Adam, my husband, and my midwife were behind me. And I guess, he was catching her, and then the midwife just kind of put her hand underneath and just kind of unwrapped it, and he continued to catch her, which was really sweet. And then I was not going to have any more kids after that. I was like, we're good. 2 girls, 2 boys, blah, blah, blah. Mr. Honor J, my youngest, he had other plans.
What's the age gap between the last 2?
It's about the same as my first 2. The first 2 is 6.5 years, and I think they're 5.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I just ended up ovulating really early. Well, actually, what happened was I was spotting at the end of my cycle, and I thought, oh, we're totally fine. Well, you know, my body was like, oh, sperm, throw out an egg, let's get pregnant again. And I did. And then, and he was actually the only one that was before his due date with my husband. So if you take that into account, he actually was born on his due date, which is really strange for babies and their expected dates.
Yeah, it is very
it's like very weird. Very, very strange.
You mentioned a lot of losses. How were those like sprinkled in between?
Yeah. So, well, I had an abortion in between Athena and Druid. And then I think Athena was a year old, maybe, yeah, right around a year. And then there's Druid Leif. In between Leif and Flora May, I had an ectopic pregnancy while I was living on the island and survived that. And then because it ruptured and I was home alone with my children, and it was before cell phones. So Adam was at work on the island.
And what happened? You just started having like abdominal pain?
I knew I was pregnant and I knew something was quite off and I wasn't feeling well, and I thought, oh great, here comes the hyperemesis. This one's going to be a doozy.
How far along would you have been, are you guessing?
I was 7 weeks. Okay. So I was pretty far along. Normally ectopics are like around 5 weeks when they burst, or people start to feel, so I was further along. I mean, I know it only sounds like 2 weeks, but in the embryonic stage is quite a bit of growth. And I wasn't feeling well. I was doing housework. Leif was taking a nap, and I asked Athena if she would check on him. And when she came back down, I had a sudden horrible pain and sickness, and it was kind of full body. It definitely resonated from my lower pelvic area, but it was so sudden and strong. It just was kind of, and shot up into my shoulders. Super classic, right? Looking back, it's like, oh, of course. Yeah. At the time, I just didn't know. I crawled up the stairs, crawled into bed next to Leif because I wanted to be close to my baby. And next thing I knew, Adam was lifting me out of the bed. My daughter had gone to the neighbors, who was an elderly woman. We lived on a property with 2 houses, and she had called her son, and he somehow knew where Adam was working or something.
Why did your daughter go to the neighbor? What was happening?
I couldn't wake up.
Oh, she was trying to wake you up.
I couldn't wake up. Leif had woken up from his nap and was crying, and it was like upstairs, and then there was a balcony, and Leif was like my child that like just climbs everything and has had injuries. And so, we had a gate up, and he was crying, and she came up and she couldn't wake me up. And evidently I had like no color. So she just knew something was wrong. And so Adam put me in the car, the kids were in the car. We went down to the family doc. There's like a small clinic, but no hospital on the island, no bridges, none of that. And he said, she's losing blood. She have to get to a hospital. I don't remember very much of anything other than that. I remember being in the hospital. Next thing I remember, I woke up in a wheelchair, and there was doctors around asking my husband questions. My in-laws were there with the kids.
But you know was it a helicopter or a ferry? Like, how did they?
I was the ferry. I'm pretty sure, yeah, the ferry, which is astounding because normally they helipad people, and the ferries can take forever, and then it's like city traffic. It's like, what the hell, you know? So
do you know the time frame, like from when like how long it took you to get to the hospital?
An hour and a half.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah, maybe 2 hours until I was sitting in that chair.
Wow.
And that, I don't know how much time went by until my husband got there at home. So my estimation is that it was sometime between when it happened and when I woke up in the hospital in that wheelchair is 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I woke up and I was like, what are we doing here? And was coherent, and like I was groggy and not feeling well. Everybody was surprised that I was talking, and I wasn't really able to answer very many questions. And my pregnancy test came back positive, which, you know, my husband already knew that I was pregnant, but they have to do their stuff. And so I remember the doctor saying, I think you've had an ectopic pregnancy. Your hemoglobin is below 9. It's somewhere like 8.2. And which is quite low. Normally, I'm a healthy person. You know, and so he's like, I think you're internally bleeding. So then I remember I was put on a bed and I was in the elevator going up for surgery. The surgeon, one of the helpers, was asking me these questions about do not resuscitate and things. My husband was in there signing papers. And then I remember waking up, and I guess it was like a day and a half later, I woke up in the hospital bed.
Oh my gosh.
And I lost my right ovarian tube. What they think happened is that the baby, either the placenta implanted in my tube and the baby made it in, or vice versa. So like, that's why it grew to 7.5 weeks. And so therefore, when it burst, it actually burst, the tube came off the uterine wall. And then, so there's like some, scarring there, some stitches there. And that the doctor said to me at my 4-week visit, she said, it's a really good thing that you're really healthy, because all of that blood that was inside of you, it just clotted and it occluded, it pushed up against where it was bleeding and stopped it from bleeding.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, good to know.
Yeah.
I was like, all right.
So intense.
And she said, and you only have 1 tube now. And I said, okay. And she said, and then later, actually for many years, I suffered on my right side from pain before my menstrual cycle and then during it, because what had happened was some of those epithelial endometrial cells came out and implanted on like my intestinal lining.
Yeah.
And so they would slough off every month, just like everything else. And they're just doing their job, you know, they're like, okay, I guess this is where we live now.
Yeah.
So that was
considered endometriosis?
Not endometriosis, maybe, but endometriosis, I guess technically yes, but it's not from normal causes, it's from trauma. Yeah. So then I got pregnant with Flora May. No, I had 1 more miscarriage in between those.
And wasn't Adam like really scared to even want to have more kids after that because you almost died?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when your wife almost dies, yeah. I think he was a little, I mean, the chances, statistically speaking, and we can talk about on a different show, like what that means about how you read statistics and what that actually means. But statistically speaking, my chance of having an ectopic pregnancy again went up to like 32% or something like that. And I had already had miscarriages, so it was like, okay, now you're in the 50-50 category, basically.
Yeah. Were you doing
Which
anything
like,
preventative, or not preventative, but like for the future pregnancies, like early ultrasounds to confirm placement or anything like that?
Yes, so that was, I'm not really medically inclined for my own care, but that is something that I did from then on. Yeah, from then on. And that was my own choice. Nobody asked me to do that. That was just my own peace of mind. So then I had another miscarriage. It was a regular miscarriage. And then after Flora May, I had a few. So.
Interesting. So at what point, how old was your youngest? Your youngest was already born when you started, like you got licensed and started up your practice? Remind me again.
He was 2.5. So he was born in 2010. And yeah, so I think he was like almost 3. Yeah, which was, the timing was really right. You know, like if you look back in your life, like if you look back I see in my life and many of my friends' lives, like the serendipity of the process. And it's like, you know, by the time, it took me a long time to get licensed and really like have all the bells and whistles, which I think the more that, for me, the more that I have them, the less I use them. But it's like, the thing is like, it just was seamless. Like the business aspect of it and the advertising part of it, all of that stuff. So, it just was pretty seamless. And that I remember being frustrated as a mom, having to wait, you know. I remember being frustrated, you know, being home alone, homeschooling. My husband was building his business, so he would work long hours. And just being, even though we lived in a beautiful farmhouse with a pond and had a homeschool group and things like that, you know, the weight of waiting to do your job, who I am, as separate as not just a mother, you know, can be heavy, and sometimes you can have days of impending doom. This is never going to end. Like, do I ever get to, you know? So, when is it? But I will say that they do get older. Time goes by. You do miss them, and you know, I have children who don't live in my home anymore, and I miss them, and so.
Well, I'm super curious to ask you a little bit about your practice being so rural, because that's not my experience. We're usually pretty close to a hospital.
Right.
And that piece is really interesting to me. Like just what it is like being hours and hours away from a hospital, in terms of like how you practice or what transport could look like. And because that's just not really a huge factor for my practice for the most part. So I just love for you to touch on anything about that.
Well, when I started, so having my babies on the island, and then Honor's birth, my last one, which was a doozy as well, for other reasons, was in Hopland. So that's like 20 minutes from the hospital, and it's a rural hospital. It's actually the hospital that is in my community. I don't know. Maybe I don't know why, but being far from a hospital doesn't scare me. It's just something that I feel like if you have an emergency, a true emergency, you know, if you're in the city, traffic. In our area, you can live in town, and there's a lack of ambulances and 911 services. So they still might not even have somebody to come. Secondly, you know, no how do I say, no disrespect, but EMTs, helicopter EMTs, they're not trained in what I'm dealing with. They're not really trained in birth or retained placentas or how much time or what to do, or so really I see them more of a transport vehicle than anything.
They're usually like, we really love what you're doing, just keep doing it.
Right.
Let's go.
So for me, in my mind, I'm like, can I get there faster than an ambulance can get me there? And usually the answer is yes. If it's something that, like a retained placenta that's really just not coming, and I can tell it's not coming, and the mom is suffering and the pulse is doing all these things, and then it's a helicopter transport. You know, there's the rare occasion that somebody's water breaks at 28 weeks, but even our hospital here transports those to the city. So I feel like there's sometimes somewhat of an illusion, even in the hospital. Okay. So like, let's talk about the hospital setting, you know, like what they see as an emergency, I often do not see as an emergency. I just see it as something to be assessed and to be dealt with, and then to do and deal, you know, like if you have a shoulder dystocia, well, she's not going to be on her back, first of all, you know, and so, you know, you're going to get her on all these different positions and things like that. And you can tell if a baby needs help getting out or just position change. So I think that there is an illusion, just like I think that with testing, like, okay, we're going to do all this genetic testing, we're going to do all these ultrasounds, and then that'll make sure that our baby doesn't have anything, quote, wrong with it. And then your baby's born and it has something wrong with it. It's like there is this illusion of that. So I don't really have, my practice doesn't change much other than the fact of like distance, you know, and travel. Moms who are way out and they're having long births and their vitals are fine and their babies are fine, but they want pain meds. I always like feel for them because it's going to be a long, bumpy ride. And then depending upon which hospital we go to, some of them are ready when we get there and some of them are not. So I my heart breaks for them, like just for what they're feeling, you know. But I think that, you know, I do carry all the stuff, carry all the meds and the oxygen and the resuscitation. And I suture really well. I, you know, deal with hemorrhages really well. I deal with dystocias really well. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the ones that are truly in need of something, you can kind of tell.
There's some red flags going on.
Yeah. So I don't really have much of a fear. I mean, I don't really know if my practice would change. I have clients who live in town too. They live in town. I practice the same. Practice doesn't change. It doesn't change. You know, it's like it doesn't. I think it's just that some people, they're not comfortable being far out, and if you're not comfortable being far out, then you shouldn't practice far out. Like if you're not comfortable doing home birth, you probably shouldn't. If you're only comfortable in a birth center, you should probably stay there, you know, because the fear factor and the decision-making process that comes in with that can disrupt things or make something seem like it is what it isn't. And
like the fear of what could happen, you know, and having that drive decisions.
I mean, what I think to myself is it could all happen at any birth, anywhere, in the hospital, in the birth center, in a home birth in town next to the hospital, in a rural birth. It could all happen. All of it could happen.
I think it's so great for people to hear, though, especially like if any families are listening, because, you know, again, I don't find myself far from hospitals, but occasionally there is somebody and it'll be like, you know, 45 minutes or an hour or something like that. And that is one of the questions that they have, like, is that too far away, you know, to feel safe? So it's, what is like the farthest you've been from a hospital?
Well, on the island. That's pretty far. But, you know, here in Mendocino and Lake County, I'd say 2.5 hours for a drive. You know, in the snow, maybe 3.
Oh my God, I didn't even consider snow.
There's also fog. So in this area, you know, we deal with snow, elevation changes, fog. I mean, just heat. Fog.
Crazy.
Fog, I think, is the worst.
Almost made it. I almost went off the road once.
Fog is awful. Yeah, it's really horrible.
And in this area, we deal with like massive ganja grows, and you're up on Murder Mountain, and like there's a locked gate, and it's like navigating all of that, no service.
I like for my rural clients to have either have Medi-Cal or some insurance that will pay for a helicopter ride, or you have Reach or CalStar, because the thing is like probably not going to use it, you know, But hey, you know, your kid could fall and break their leg and you might use it later that year. I don't know. You know, farm equipment kills a lot of people every year. You don't see everybody afraid getting on it, you know. So, but I do think that, you know, if you were to have some sort of transport where you required a hospital transport in a helicopter, like the worst thing possible would be getting that, you know, $250,000 bill 6 months postpartum to like, there's nothing like that to trigger your trauma, you know, like put the icing on the cake. So, and it's kind of like Murphy's Law too, like you have it so you don't use it.
Right, exactly.
And a landline, you either need to have crystal clear service or you need to have a landline or something like that. I mean, I am on call for other people too. So there's that. You know, water testing, people who live in areas where it's highly chlorinated water in towns, I ask them to have a filter, just like a little screw-on filter on the hose, you know, they're really cheap. You can get them on Amazon or wherever, your local hardware store. And people who have well water, if they haven't tested it or if they have some kind of weird piping or something like that, I ask them to do a water test if they want a water birth. Which is pretty affordable and easy. A lot of people do that in rural areas. So there's like some things like that. I do all of your postpartum visits in your home, and no matter where you live. So that's, you know, in the first 6 weeks, that's 6 home visits, or actually I think it's more, 6 or 7 in the first week, 6 weeks.
You spend a lot of time in the car.
I spend a lot of time in the car. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, it's crazy amount of time in the car. And I do charge a gas travel fee for that, depending upon how far you are, and what your road looks like. Some people's roads have just thrashed my car. So, but it's reasonable, and I definitely don't really turn people away for, I'm pretty good with trade and things like that. I feel like I'm a big girl. I can make my own decisions. If I want to give somebody a reduced fee, then I do. And I leave it at that. So yeah, I mean, a lot of time in the car. There's some considerations for like when to call. You know, moms who are on their 4th, 5th baby and they live 2 hours from me. It's like I kind of end up there a little early, which, but you know, they have a farm usually and they have land. So I just visit with the animals and clean house and cook or play with the kids or, you know, until something's going on, until they, you know, I definitely, I don't, the driving is probably the biggest thing for me. But, you know, once again, I think just being on the island and being around rural birth for so long, it's not really, when people ask me like, well, do you think that that's too far from the hospital? What I say to them is, do you think it's too far?
That was what I was going to say. It seems like, you know, it's a two-way street. Like you need to have somebody that actually really wants to have a home birth. And is committed to, you know, and it's crazy because there's not a labor and delivery like on the coast where we go. So a lot of people that maybe that wouldn't be their first choice, but they're considering it now because they don't want to make the drive themselves. So there's that piece too that's interesting. Or moms who literally had their last baby in 2 hours and they live 2 hours from the hospital. It's like, how is that going to work? You know?
For sure.
So,
and in that, you know, and I mean, I don't know, it's just interesting. It's really interesting. We only have one hospital here now that has labor and delivery. It's only a level 2 NICU. So sometimes moms will start to get a little, you know, a few long labors, days will go, you know, they're like, well, can we like, you know, can we go to my friend's house who lives closer? Or I'm like, sure, if that's what you want to do, if that's what's going to help you, you know, get your baby out or feel safe or whatever, you know, like, sure, you know.
I've had people like rent a place. Airbnb kind of thing.
Real quick, I wanted to switch gears really from the rural midwifery to your trauma coaching. I just want to hear a little bit about that before we close.
So, you know, So there's birth trauma, which birth trauma can happen for many, many, many different reasons. So I break it into two sections. One is birth trauma and one is survivor's trauma. So a sexual assault, or just, emotional assault, or like those kinds of things. But when I talk about survivor's trauma, it's usually something to do with sexual assault or survivors of sexual abuse. And the processes are similar, yet a little different. I have people who come to me who had birth trauma, and now they want to have another baby. And so they want to process that before they get pregnant. I have people who find themselves pregnant and their trauma doesn't revisit them until they find themselves, 3-4 months pregnant, thinking about their birth. And so then they don't necessarily have to have a home birth with me. In fact, it works really well if there's somebody else's patient or client, because there's that removal, right? And so it's like we're doing this work, just like if you have somebody who has, marital issues and it's affecting their pregnancy, labor, and birth, hopefully they're going to get counseling from a marriage counselor, right? So there's that birth trauma work. Then there's the survivors work, which sometimes people come in during pregnancy. Sometimes they come in before they're pregnant. Sometimes they come in after they're pregnant. Most of those people come in, most survivors come in after they've had their baby. And so there's some postpartum stuff going on. So, and then it comes up, and sometimes, nobody knows. Like nobody knows. And so yeah, that I do on a sliding scale. I feel like, and then if people want me to be their doula, they want me to be there in the hospital with them as a doula. I do it through Zoom and Skype. So it's like, sometimes, I can't be there, but, now with COVID, we're having people, and so I can be there, like on their phone. They have their headphones in. I can see what's going on in their room, and part of it too, now what I'm starting to get into is like this whole thing of like teaching their birth team, right? So it's like, so if it's there, so once we get to a place where they want to include, like, this is my plan, these are my boundaries, these are my yeses, these are my nos. So one thing about like survivors trauma might be, or birth trauma might be, people touching you without asking, right? So this is a really basic one. We're all becoming more and more aware of this, right? So it's like, what are you going to say when somebody looks like they're going to touch you? So then it's like, they have this like rhythm, this like, okay, this is what I say. This is what I say whenever this fear comes up. This is what I say. And then teaching the birth trauma, like, okay, so do you want to include your birth team into that? Or including the partner or the doula, if it's a hospital-based birth. These are, and we have a meeting about that and a team meeting about that. It's a long process, but it's like, people who are having hospital births, we talk about shift changes. We talk about, machines, doors closing. Where do you want the bed facing? Like everybody is unique in what their triggers are. So for some people, for birth trauma, like they had this traumatic birth, it's process. It's a lot of that is processing. And then making a plan and supporting that plan to have like the optimal outcome to avoid that, avoid those triggers. So it's a lot of, I find that I think I'm kind of made for that. I don't have a hard time asking difficult questions, but also being sensitive, but also being like sensitive in the wording and the tone and the inflection of the voice and all of those different things.
You can hear it just sounds like your heart work,
Yeah, it's really amazing to hear that they had, you know, I did it. I had this birth and it went this way, and I was able, you know, and even sometimes, especially for the survivors, or the birth trauma where they feel victimized in their birth. And that's, you know, I mean, I think that a lot of it comes from being a victim, and people have experienced that in so many different ways, and it comes out. And so just hearing them on the other side saying, well, my birth didn't go exactly how I wanted it to, but I was able to say no, and people listened to me. And that is like awesome. I mean, I have full body chills, just like full body chills from that, you know, and I'm like, good, because then that person can like move forward, right, in their life.
Yeah, because it's not about controlling the situation.
Right. Yeah. And even like I had a call recently from somebody who is part of the trans community, trans queer community, and they're anticipating that they will be treated in a certain way at the hospital. And so reaching out and just being like, okay, so how can we develop this plan? What should I expect as part of my hospital birth? And what should I, you know, how can I, you know, get people to say chest feeding, or where can I find my place of power? So, which I was like, good for you, you know, like I just felt like, good for you for reaching out before.
Versus having to heal from the trauma, you know, preparing yourself and empowering yourself.
It's so shitty that queer people have to like go into
it is
knowing that that's gonna happen. And like, I know I have to advocate for myself. You know.
And Black and brown people too, you know, it's kind of it's the same thing. And it's like, you know, I have seen that my Black and brown clients, if we transport, are treated differently. They, you know, it's just, you know, it, you know, same nurse that I saw last couple weeks or something, totally different. And it's like, hey, why are you not offering her the things that you offered my last client, you know, like in the hallway, you know, like, hey, can we talk about this? Like, I don't see you offering these same things. Like,
That's you for holding her accountable.
Why would you? Yeah, I try to hold people accountable. It's kind of a thing for me. I mean, I want to be held accountable, you know, so I, you know, it helps me grow and learn.
Beautiful. Well, it was so great chatting with you today,
You too.
Lisa.
Yeah.
We're lucky to have
It's
you
fun.
in the community.
So thank you.
So we have a
That's
couple,
sweet.
it's
Very
like
sweet of
crazy
you.
to go from like that topic to like, we have some funny questions.
Our ending question.
But for time, we have
Sure.
some questions that we ask. You want to go first? You're going to go first.
You can go first.
Okay. So what is your like unpopular opinion? This is gonna be really good.
Oh my gosh.
She's like,
I did
do
not
I have to pick one?
Yes, that is my exact thought. Like, do I have to pick one? Which one? Can you pick a topic? Like, which topic you want to pick?
Any topic in your life. Just like an unpopular.
Like, what was the first thing that popped in your head that, you know, you have this opinion, everyone's like,
Everybody's like, oh, really? That's what you think? Well, well, okay. I have this opinion that there is a movement of white women who are trying to bring like traditional birth back. And I don't think that that's their place. They're not traditional midwives. Like, when I say that I practiced like somewhat traditional midwifery, that's why I say somewhat, is because I'm a white privileged woman in the United States of America. There, you know, the keepers of traditional birth are the granny midwives and that lineage. And then women of color in places like India, Bangladesh, Peru, Guatemala, you know, Mexico, like, those are the women, and we should be giving our voices to them and not creating a sub factor and charging people for it. And I believe that that is just, that whole push is self-righteous, and I think that it is going to do undue harm. And I I don't think that actually has anything to do with the free birth movement or unassisted movement. I think that that's completely different. Unassisted birth has been around forever.
Yeah.
I mean, forever. And
baby Jesus.
Baby Jesus, right? You know? And and before baby Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure those cave women were like, okay, need a sister, but maybe not. So I just think that white women need to stop looking at stuff. I understand why, I get why. There's been over-hospitalization, over-medicalization of birth. So there's this movement to come away from that and to have a more natural setting. I think the word authentic is way overused, and I think that it's overused in homeschooling, it's overused in birth, it's overused in marriage, it's just overused to the point to where it's like, okay, does anybody realize that everybody's idea of authenticity is different?
Yeah.
So it's not a popular conversation. But I'm a white woman, and I'll be the first to say that I don't know shit about true traditional midwifery. What I do know is about home out of hospital birth in a natural setting with women driving their choices and supporting them in that choice and their choices. 25% of my clients don't do any ultrasounds, they don't do any lab tests, no vitamin K, all that kind of stuff. So but I think that whole movement of this is something that real traditional midwives do. We're going to learn about this, and then we're going to say that we're traditional midwives, and we're going to try to teach everybody to be traditional midwives from that point of view. I think it's wrong, and I think it's a colonization kind of approach. And I don't like it, and I don't like people telling women how to have their babies. So any movement that's
not unpopular here.
any movement that does that, any movement that forces a woman to if she wants testing, don't try to convince her not to have testing. Her intuition might be telling her that there's something about this baby, or there's something about this birth, or something like that. So just let her have her testing, even if she didn't have it with any of her other babies, And, that does also stem from some personal experience. My ectopic pregnancy almost killed me and took away from my children. I chose to then, when I got pregnant, have an early ultrasound, even though I did not want that. I did not want that. And I know the research on that. However, I weighed my options, and then
we make
chose
decisions
that
based off of our experiences, how can we not?
So it's definitely, I have strong opinions about that, but white women are not traditional birth workers.
Well, I have a question. If you could go back to your teenage self, maybe very early teens, and give her any advice you could give her, knowing what you know now, what would you say to her?
Well, gosh, I would say learn patience sooner. It's okay to tone it down a bit. You can still be strong and forceful in your nature. And with a Capricorn rising, I'm always but I have a Capricorn rising. And that all relationships heal with time. Healing doesn't mean that you're okay with what it is or what happened. It can just mean, at least for me, in my opinion, that that you understand it. You understand inside of you what happened, how that happened, maybe why that happened, what you learned from that. It doesn't really have anything to do with the third or fourth party or whatever. It's all about your journey, and you can completely, things can be healed, and it just all washes out in time.
It softens over time.
Yeah, it does.
I love hearing everybody's responses to that question, but that was really beautiful. I really just love that. Well, thank you for joining us
You're
today.
welcome.
Oh, you have another question? Where can people find you? Oh, yes.
Find me. They can find me in my car driving. No, I'm joking. So my website is Mountain Valley Midwifery. And you can go there and fill out an online form about anything you want. Email me. My phone number is 707-671-6281. And you can find me on Instagram, Lisa Rawson LM, and Facebook, Mountain Valley Midwifery. I don't accept friend requests for my personal page.
Okay. Yeah. We will put that all in the show notes so everyone can reach out. Well, this was beautiful, and I love that we work in the same community, kinda, so that we get to see each other.
It's nice. It is nice.
Great. Well, thank you again. Thanks.
You're welcome. Had a good time.
Thanks everybody for listening. You can find us at Born Wild Podcast on Instagram. For inquiries or feedback, you can email us at bornwildpodcast@gmail.com. You can find me, Emma Ray, on Instagram at Emma Ray, REA. Sophia at sophiabirth.com.
And me, Leah, at Bay Area Home Birth.
We would really appreciate it if you would rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It helps us reach more people. And as always, stay wild.